Do you have a drawer or drawers in your house that you try to keep neat and uncluttered, but they still get cluttered? I'm going to tell you not only how to prevent that, but how to fix it if that drawer is cluttered. The first thing you want to do is take absolutely everything out of the drawer and lay it out somewhere, bed, floor, couch, whatever. You just want to make sure that you can see everything that was in the drawer. And the reason it's important to do this is so you can take kind of a visual inventory of whatever was in the drawer. Maybe you have things that you thought were in there that's not in there, or you know the things that were supposed to be in there, or some things you look at and don't understand why they're still in there or why you still have them. And so this allows you to see the whole picture. Now, if you can't remember everything you really want to, you can actually have a pen and piece of paper there and start just writing things down to make sure that you are not forgetting anything that is in the drawer. But do not worry about if you don't see everything at this point, because you will know everything in your drawer by the end of the process. Now, what you want to do next is take all those items and put them in groups by different categories. Maybe you have shirts or pants or socks or whatever. And then you want to decide, do you actually need subgroups? Like maybe you need red shirts or blue shirts or whatever is in that drawer. You're going to take everything and have those groups. And then you may have some stuff in there that you say, okay, this is just random stuff. Put that in a group as well, because then you can look and figure out, okay, how much stuff you actually have that you actually need, and how much of the stuff that you actually don't need, and how much of the stuff is just really just you have no idea what it is at the point in time or why it's in your drawer. And one of the best benefits about this, whether you have ADHD or not, is you use less of your working memory. And what that is the memory that you use when you see something and you're trying to figure out something in your head. Like say you see a math problem and you're trying to multiply everything in your head, you're using that memory. And so when you have categories, you don't have to do that. You just look at the category and you instantly know, hey, this is where that goes. This is where that goes. That's where that is. Now, the next thing that you do is you figure out what's essential and what you may not need and what you definitely don't need. And so you may have some socks in there with some holes in them, for instance, and you're like, I'm never going to wear these again. And so you get rid of them. Or you have a whole bunch of socks where you only have one sock of the pair and you're not sure if you're ever going to find the other sock to match that pair. So you may want to keep it, but you may want to get rid of it. Anything that's in your drawer that you don't need, you want to put in a pile to get rid of or a review to get rid of. And you can even go further and have a non-essential pile and then also have a maybe pile. Like maybe these are things I keep and maybe I won't. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to take all your bulky clothing items and keep them out of the drawer, put them to the side. If you have a big coat or something that is just going to take up a lot of space in the drawer, then make sure it's not in the drawer at all. And the reason is because when you have these bulky clothing items in the drawer, it's going to take up a whole bunch of space. And then you won't have any space for anything else. You'll have just a little bit of space for something else. Now, the next thing you want to do is pick your sections in your drawer. Figure out how many you want to have. Do you want to have socks and shirts and underwear in here? Then that's fine. But you need to have a separate section for each thing. And so you want to figure out how big does that section need to be and where are these things going to go to. The other thing you need to think about is when you put things in a drawer, which thing do you use the most? Do you use certain shirts the most? Do you use certain socks the most? Do you use this specific kind of clothing the most? So when you're thinking about your sections, think about which things you need to get to easily and frequently, and then have those sections accordingly in the drawer. Now, once you decide which sections are going where, which things are going within those sections, you need to have some way to divide them so that you can see the different sections. And so you're going to get drawer dividers, and what they do is they actually give you that barrier so that you can see where those sections end and begin. And they make them in all sorts of sizes and configurations, and they have adjustable ones. So whichever ones you need, go ahead and get them. And that way you can put them in the drawer and figure out, okay, I want this section this big and that section that big. And you can design it how you want. That's going to help you specifically. And the other thing is drawer dividers come in different materials, bamboo, plastic, whichever you need to suit your furniture or drawers. You can find some. I will put links in the description to some that I think are really good, and you can decide if you want to use those or something else. And the next thing you need to do before you put your clothes in those sections is fold your clothes. And the reason you do this is because it saves you space. Because when you have a drawer, you divide it into different sections to make sure it's organized. You're going to have limited amount of space, and anything that you can do to save yourself space is a very good thing. And also, do not cram your clothes into the drawer. If you just don't have space, you want to find another drawer, another place to put the clothes. You do not want to cram the clothes in the drawer because they're just going to get wrinkled and it's still not going to be organized. And so this is another reason why you need to fold the clothes. The next thing that's really essential to keeping your drawer organized is to use the 1 in, 1 out rule. If you buy something new and you know what's going to go in that drawer, then look in the drawer and see what you can get rid of or take out of the drawer, so you're not just adding stuff into the drawer, because then what's going to happen is you keep adding stuff, you have some space, but then you eventually run out of space because you've added things and kept adding things. So when you buy something new and want it to be in that drawer, make sure you take something out. And now thinking about it, if you have something in your home that you want to put in that drawer that you already own, go ahead and apply the same kind of rule. If you bring one thing in, you make sure you take one thing out of the drawer. Now, another thing you need to do is make sure you go back and look at the piles of things that you maybe want to keep or things you don't want to keep. And then you want to really decide on which ones you're truly going to keep. And the next thing is be creative as much as you want to. Change it up at any time. Design it a different way if you want to. It's just whatever you need that's going to make it easier for you to keep your drawer organized. Now, if you're wondering how to begin home organization with ADHD, I have a video about that goes over all of that, and you can watch that video right here.